Hey classes, today's Tuesday, March 1st, and this video is for both Edgewood and Kitley. So whether you have me in first, second, fourth, or sixth period, this will be what you'll be watching today. Apologize I couldn't be with you, but I will be back tomorrow on Wednesday, March 2nd. All right. A couple things to keep in mind. We are doing our striking unit. So tomorrow we'll have some more skills going on as far as hitting objects, whether it be with a racket or a stick of some sort. Also, today, watch this full video. All right, as you're watching, you're going to be able to pause it, go to the PowerPoint, and then maybe work in your workbook a little bit as well. Okay, and so we'll just kind of go through this. I hope that you're being respectful and responsible for whoever's in there with you, whether it be Mr. Tallhelm, Miss Raup, or someone that's stepping in to fill in for me today. So please make sure you're doing what you're supposed to. Stay on task with this. If you get done early, because you will have probably some time at the end, find something productive to do, whether it be on your Chromebook or dealing with another class. All right. So I appreciate you guys again for doing the right thing. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. All right. Now, what you're going to do is you do have a buzzer beater today. So if you follow along on the screen, right, you come down to buzzer beaters. The buzzer beater is the same for both classes at both buildings. So you'll see I've put EI and KI. So 3-1, is alcohol a drug? Why or why not? So why don't you go ahead and pause this video, take a few minutes here to answer that question. All right, so go ahead and pause this video. Go ahead and answer your buzzer beater. All right, hopefully now that you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to open up the PowerPoint. So you saw there, I scrolled down, I went to Unit 4, and then I opened up the PowerPoint that came with it. So go ahead and pause this video and open up that as well. Awesome. So now that you've opened up your PowerPoint, you'll see that the first one is the buzzer beater. All right, is alcohol a drug? Why or why not? Well, I don't know what you've put, but I'm sure the first question you may have asked yourself is what is a drug, right? So when we're talking about what is a drug, we've mentioned this before talking about tobacco, but a drug is any chemical substance that alters the body from its normal state. So again, with alcohol, right, the answer would be yes, it is a drug because alcohol does alter your body from its normal chemical state. Okay, and that's the why. All right, it is it, and it slows down the body's functions, which we're going to be talking about more here in this PowerPoint. Okay, so unlike tobacco, which was had a stimulant of nicotine. Nicotine was a stimulant inside of tobacco. It sped your body up. Alcohol being the opposite. Okay, we call it a depressant, because it slows your body down, your brain and your body. All right, so let's get going here. I'll talk about the myths and realities. All right, again, we're going to give you factual information. All right, we're going to talk about just some general background things like how often, right, the people do drink or how prevalent it is, patterns of drinking, right, the social acceptability of it, and then dangers or problem of drinking, and then any legal implications. And when we do finish this, there is a booklet that you can play, and it goes through questions that deal with this PowerPoint that we're talking about. So go ahead, turn to page 40, and go ahead and fill out your reasons for not using alcohol. Just like you did with tobacco, go ahead and put some in. It doesn't have to be all 10 lines. But go ahead and pause this video on page 40 in your workbook and make sure you fill that out. All right, so what is alcohol? Well, again, it's a drug that's contained in drinks such as beer, wine coolers, hard liquor. Right? It is a drug. And then the question here of, is it a stimulant or depressant? Well, we just told you that. It's a depressant. So it depresses the brain's activity, and then it again affects the body and it slows everything down. right? And so how does alcohol affect the body? Well, it gets into the stomach walls and intestines, and then it directly into the bloodstream. So much like nicotine that gets in the bloodstream, same thing with alcohol. And then again, it travels through that blood up to your brain. Okay. And again, we'll talk more in depth on what that does. Now, if you open to page 37, you can go ahead and open up your book. I'm going to grab mine here. And on page 37, you can look at some of the behavior and physical effects that it can have. Okay. So it talks again about what is alcohol. It talks about in small amounts, right? Just like here on the PowerPoint, large amounts, and then some behavioral effects. So again, it slows down the ability to think clearly, causes poor decision making, makes you feel more daring. And again, we'll talk Thursday. We'll cover these more in detail so I can get some of your questions, thoughts, concerns. But we're just going to kind of hit the points here today. Okay? Large amounts, it's going to slow down, right, the area of the nervous system in the brain. Could create dizziness, maybe your coordination goes down, so being able to move, catch, hands-on type things. Harder to speak, and then walk or stay awake. And people can temporarily lose their memory or pass out. And they call that a blackout. If you temporarily lose your memory, you can lose that for some time. You may not remember parts of your evening or parts of your day. Okay. And then with the behavioral effects, you may have seen people that get angry when they drink. So that's your fighting people, your arguing, your violent type people that drink. They probably get a little louder. You might have somebody that doesn't say a whole lot. You get a few drinks in them, and now they start talking more, and not just more, but maybe being more loud, right? Actually, where you can hear them talking louder. Some people get very silly or giddy, and then others are very foolish or obnoxious with their behavior. All right. We'll watch a quick video here. I'm going to push play on this, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it all. So you may want to stop the video, go to your PowerPoint, and watch it, okay? And then you can just fast forward through ours. But I'm going to go ahead and push it here so you do have that opportunity.
Well, why is alcohol bad for the body? To answer this question, we're going to take a little trip of what happens to alcohol in the body. Once it's consumed, alcohol goes down the normal food path of digestion, from the mouth, the esophagus, and into the stomach. Here, about 20% of alcohol is absorbed through the stomach lining into the bloodstream, which means it's getting into the bloodstream very quickly. From the stomach, the alcohol that was not absorbed in the stomach next travels to the small intestine. One note here, if there's no food in the stomach, so an empty stomach, or if the alcohol is not consumed with any food, it gets to the small intestine very quickly. In the small intestine, the rest of the alcohol is absorbed into the bloodstream and travels to the liver. The liver is going to work on the alcohol molecules to break them down, making it possible to eliminate them from the body. So in the liver, an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase, which is also present in the lining of the stomach, which we would call ADH, oxidizes the alcohol or ethanol molecule. In basic terms, this means that the enzyme comes in and changes the chemical structure of ethanol. So ethanol becomes acetaldehyde. This substance is known to be toxic and carcinogenic, or in simpler terms, poisonous and cancer-causing. This acetaldehyde is then metabolized down to a substance called acetic acid, which is less harmful to the body. Acetic acid can then be broken down into carbon dioxide and water. When alcohol is present, the liver will work on metabolizing it first. So fatty acids can accumulate, which is why so many heavy drinkers develop fatty livers. If there's more alcohol than liver enzymes can handle, it gets circulated to all parts of the body. It's estimated that the liver can eliminate about half an ounce of alcohol per hour, which is about one beer, one glass of wine, or one shot. When alcohol reaches the heart, blood pressure decreases and blood vessels relax. The heart then pumps the alcohol-rich blood to the lungs. Some of the alcohol in the lungs is breathed out every time you exhale, causing your breath to smell of liquor. The lungs send the alcohol-containing blood back to the heart, where it's pumped to all parts of the body, including the brain. Once alcohol enters the brain, it slows down nerve cells that control your ability to move and think. So judgment becomes impaired and movement becomes disrupted. Alcohol also increases blood flow to the skin, which may make some fair-skinned people turn pink, and some people will begin to sweat, and most will smell like alcohol. Alcohol also decreases the body's production of antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone helps your kidneys manage the amount of water in your body. The decrease of this hormone causes the kidneys to not reabsorb water. Instead, it is excreted as urine, causing the body to become dehydrated. If alcohol consumption continues, it could lead to loss of consciousness. Massive alcohol consumption or binge drinking could lead to alcohol poisoning. This happens when there's a high concentration of alcohol in the bloodstream, and this could result in coma, respiratory depression, or possibly death. Now let's look at the after effects of alcohol overconsumption, the dreaded hangover. The exact causes of a hangover are not completely understood, but there are several factors that may contribute to it. The chemical acetaldehyde is formed from ethanol. It's believed that this chemical is what causes the headaches associated with hangovers. The increase in urination leading to dehydration, which could cause thirst, dry mouth, and dizziness. Some immune cells produce substances called cytokines, which can contribute to nausea and fatigue. Some alcoholic beverages increase the release of gastric acid in the stomach and delay the emptying of the contents of the stomach, which could be the reason for stomach pain associated with hangovers. Alcohol can also interfere with the liver's production of glucose, the main form of energy for cells, which could contribute to dizziness, disorientation, and lack of energy. The long-term effects of alcohol overconsumption include anemia, which is a low amount of oxygen-carrying red blood cells. It can lead to cell death of the liver cells and brain cells, leading to these organs not functioning properly. The risk of heart failure increases, as does the risk of stomach and intestinal problems, and many heavy drinkers have high blood pressure. Overconsumption of alcohol can also lead to relationship problems, depression, and employment problems. And these are just a few of the long-term problems associated with constant overconsumption of alcohol. It's always about moderation, folks. Limiting yourself to 1 or 2 drinks from time to time is probably a good strategy. As you can see, overconsumption of alcohol has a lot of negative effects on your body. And consistent overconsumption of alcohol has catastrophic effects on your body. And that, the alcohol. Moderation, folks, moderation.
All right. So again, and it talks about moderation there, but obviously being that you are teens and underage, right, no drinking should be taking place because, again, your body isn't ready to handle what alcohol does to it. So it actually has a higher effect on your brain, especially because it isn't fully developed. Right? If you think about what percent of Americans drink, 65% of Americans drink alcohol. And so more than 1/3 don't drink at all. And so you look at the percent of Americans who drink in excess. So it talks about here, that's 5 or more drinks on each occasion for at least 5 days in the past month. So if you think about just, there's 4 weekends, right? In a month, there's 4 weekends. So if someone is having more than 5 drinks, let's just say every weekend, each day of the weekend, that'd be someone in that excess. Okay. Other drinking stats, you can see there, still a very low report, right, as far as 2.7 of high school seniors. And then obviously the people that disapprove of those that drink. All right, patterns of drinking. All right, so things that you've seen before. People that don't drink, right, certain people that maybe just drink when they're out at dinner, maybe just drinking with friends at a bar or a club. Then you have the people who can see you can get the most drunk, right, or chugging contest and like trying to compete, I guess, if you will. So what we're looking at is these 4 patterns of drinking. Abstinence is no drinking at all, right? So whatever that reason may be, they don't drink. Maybe they have someone in their past that they know struggle with alcoholism. It could be that their religion doesn't allow it. They might be allergic to alcohol. And so ritual drinking. Okay, ritual drinking is another pattern of it, and this is when it's done just at a huge celebration, right? They only drink maybe once a year, and it could be because of some sort of celebration, a wedding, right, or someone's special occasion of a birthday party or New Year's or whatever it may be, right? Social drinker. Social drinker is when they're with people who are drinking, they're going to drink too. And so that may be on more than one occasion throughout the month or week or whatever it may be. But someone who's a social drinker is, if it's the right time, right place, they'll have a drink with others. And then your last one is the compulsive or problem drinker. And this is somebody that uses it to cope with their problems or feelings. So maybe they're having anxiety, maybe they're feeling bad or depressed. They use alcohol to try and make them feel better. Okay, and that's where this one usually increases the problems. And you might have the people that maybe get in altercations more, could get in accidents, having some sort of disease from drinking too much. So those are the four. Again, abstinence is none. Ritual drinking is very, very slim, maybe just once a year or so. Social drinking would be on occasion with friends that are drinking, they'll drink too. And compulsive drinkers are ones that will drink alone to try and help themselves feel better. Okay. A couple things to see there for points to make. Why people don't drink. If you go to page 38 in your book, it lists these reasons, but just not liking the taste, don't want to be drunk. One, it does add weight, right? And fattening, religious, family prohibitions. It's illegal, right, for underage people especially. Maybe if you play a sport, you don't want to harm your chance of getting to play that sport because you get in trouble for drinking, or because it would affect your performance. You don't want to look stupid or foolish because you lose control of your body when you drink, so you don't want to look stupid or foolish with not having that control. And you can see the others there. Okay. Why do some people drink? Well, they want to look more grown up. Same reason people smoke, right? Again, it's one of those things where they're trying to fit in, possibly, with a group. Maybe they think it makes them look cooler, whatever the case may be, but it usually has something to do with peer pressure or doing something with, having peer influence, right? And then the problem drinkers, right? How does that become? Well, again, they're coping with something, right? It could be the stress of just whatever it may be. Any negative emotions, they're trying to relieve those. Social acceptance. Again, we'll talk more on Thursday in depth about this, but again, do you think drinking is socially acceptable? Well, compared to smoking, some of you probably do, right? Because you see your parents, may have a drink afterwards, or adults that drink, right? Now, again, being underage, it's not acceptable for underage people, but you may be more apt to, I guess, if someone were to have a drink next to you at dinner, if you're out with your family and someone at the table next to you has a drink, that's probably not going to bother you as much as somebody if they were to light up a cigarette, okay? And so we can talk about that. You can see more examples of alcohol on TV, right? You see it being shown in advertisements more and more than you would with smoking or anything else. Again, on page 39, it just talks about some myths. So if you would, you can open up page 39. But here's a couple of them here, right? It's only beer. Well, it contains the same amount as 5 ounces of wine or a shot of liquor. Okay, my friends just drink wine. Same thing. It contains the same amount of alcohol as a can of beer or a shot of liquor within 5 ounces. And then drugs are a bigger problem than alcohol. Well, again, alcohol is a drug, but as far as the harder drugs you might think of, alcohol is the biggest problem in the country, right? It's people are able to get their hands on it because it is legal, right? But again, those people that abuse it is where we get issues, and people do have trouble with it. Okay? And then again, on page 40, you can see. Here's our quick summary. Again, if you have anything, just go ahead and look through this. The last thing you're going to want to do is you're going to go back to your Google Classroom, and there is a Blooket, okay? There is a Blooket that you'll click on and play. And this will cover a ton of questions for you. So I know this video has gone pretty long, but class being 55 minutes, I wanted you to at least be able to sit through me for about half of it. Please play the Blooket. Please look over anything in the PowerPoint you need. If there's any quizzes that you have not taken yet, whether it be Unit 1 in 2 or Unit 3 smoking, please make sure you do that. Other than that, guys, please behave for whoever's in there with you. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I will see you tomorrow in class. Thank you, guys.